2023's Amnesia: The Bunker is a survival horror game with a ruthlessly simple premise. You're trapped in a World War I bunker. Escape. In the way of this goal are several key items you need to find before you can blow your way out, and the codes to access them could be anywhere in a sprawling maze of rooms and tunnels. These items will help you progress and open up options for dealing with obstacles, which include traps, rats, locks, grates, and, of course, the thing that killed all your friends. Amnesia: The Bunker is, more than anything, a game of adaptation. All the major areas of the bunker are accessible from pretty much the beginning, and an astonishing amount is left up to you, such as how much fuel you load into the central generator before you head out on each venture, which keeps the lights on, as long as there's gas in the tank. And every obstacle, whether a locked door or a swarm of rats, can be dealt with in multiple ways, some of which the game doesn't tell you explicitly. Code locations for key items are also randomized at the beginning of each playthrough, so everyone's experience will be different. Everyone will have their own war story. The horrible decision-making begins almost from minute 1. Every tool is a lifeline, but also takes up a slot in your very limited inventory. Do you leave the pocket watch behind and leave it to your gut to guess how many minutes of light you have left? Do you leave the revolver? It does attract unwanted attention, but it's so useful for blowing yourself to smithereens. With every decision comes paralysis and the crippling anxiety that comes with knowing you're going to round a corner and need the very item you decided to leave in the supply box. Then there's how to use the tools you do have on you. Do I use the last seconds of my torchlight to sweep away these rats and risk not having light in the darkness later? Or do I spend petrol to light them up for good and risk not having fuel for the generator? Amnesia: The Bunker knows that the scariest thing of all is limited knowledge, scarce resources, and the consequences of your own decisions. There are locked doors in the bunker that can be forced open by an explosive blast, or a shotgun shell, or a brick. The brick is clearly the best option, as it doesn't spend resources to use, but good luck finding one when you need it. In the arsenal, I find one such door, but no brick. Later in the game, I stumble onto one in the prison, and God help me, I lugged that brick halfway across the bunker just to throw it at a door until the door broke. And I was pleased with myself too. I have absolutely no regrets about my, in retrospect, ludicrous actions. Screw the companion cube, Amnesia: The Bunker made me form a real emotional attachment to a lump of clay. Simplicity creates elegance, creates intimacy. I'm not just talking about the cruel simplicity of the fact that the exit is right next to you for the entire game, although it is elegant. I'm not just talking about the charming old-timey physicality of the pocket watch or the wind-up torch, or the way you crank a lever to light your way, although it is intimate. I'm mainly talking about the way this game strips everything back to its essential properties. When everything is this pared down, every little thing becomes weighty. Everything reacts realistically with the environment, whether that's a lighter, a plank of wood, or a drop of fuel. There are no intrusive cutscenes, no bullshit puzzles or kooky video game logic to break your immersion. Everything acts as it should. You check ammo by looking in your gun. You check health by checking your wounds. You check for danger by looking and listening. Because in the bunker, you are prey, and you'd better learn to act like it. Letting your guard down for even a moment is a risk. There are many perils down here, and no non-diegetic danger orchestra that will play to warn you when you're about to open a booby-trapped door or get snatched by the beast. If you missed the red cross on the doorframe or the growl near your feet, well, you were careless. Eventually, you'll learn every twist and turn of these rooms so that when the lights go out and the panic rises in your throat, you'll be able to take a deep breath and make your way home in the pitch black. When I think back to playing Amnesia the Bunker, it's these moments I'll remember. The quiet horror of creeping down the corridors in the darkness, keeping my footsteps quiet, squinting to see ahead, listening out for the sounds of danger, all my senses fully alert. I could all but feel the chill of the earth around me, the prickle of heat under my shirt, and the sweat trickling into my eyes. When a game makes carrying a rock or walking slowly down an empty corridor feel this embodied and visceral, you know it's something special. If you look up Amnesia the Bunker on How Long to Beat, it tells you to expect a roughly 5.5 hour experience. My endgame statistics revealed it took me 7 hours and 38 minutes. This is because roughly halfway through the game, I still hadn't found a pretty critical item, and having wasted a stupendous amount of resources trying and failing to progress without it, I got caught in a failure spiral where I ran out of fuel, couldn't find more, and spent a solid 2 hours stumbling around, blindly dying in the dark. At this time, I came the closest to true despair I've ever come in my life, and I seriously contemplated giving up and leaving my body to rot in those godforsaken tunnels for the rest of time. This game crushed me so hard, I went through a dark night of the soul down there, and I've never been the same since. Everyone has their own war story. But the thought of turning off the console opened this unbearable pit in my stomach, because it would mean that I'd never have left. In a way, I'd be trapped in that dark, crumbling labyrinth forever. I couldn't stand the thought of it. I found myself thinking, I can't do that. I can't die down here. Thoughts started coming to me spontaneously. Things I've heard and read about World War I. Stories of people being crushed to death in collapsing tunnels, drowning in muddy craters, choking on poison gas. The thousands who died, stifling and smothering and gasping. Something about the thought of remaining in those tunnels forever made my own throat close in terror. It's the sense of claustrophobia that stays with me. When all the other frights subside, what's left is the feeling of confinement, the pressure bearing down on you from all sides. As you find journal entries scattered around the bunker, it's revealed what happened down here when it came to life and death. The officers in charge tried to silence those who raised the alarm. Then they locked up the soldiers who disobeyed orders and blew the walls to try and protect themselves and their comrades, knowing their attempts at self-preservation may only lead to a different death by firing squad. It's not too dissimilar to how actual World War I soldiers found themselves treated by their superiors, like fodder for the meat grinder, with refusal to obey punished by court-martial. Death in front and death behind. This is the feeling that perhaps best captures the unique hell that was fighting in World War I. Horror and death everywhere, and that terrible feeling of being trapped with nothing to do but await the inevitable. It's a feeling Amnesia the Bunker understands very, very well. But I didn't die down there. Somehow, I found that blasted lighter, and somehow I regained momentum, and somehow, after 7 hours and 38 minutes, I finished the game. And I've never been so relieved to hear the sound of debris being blasted apart. Never been more happy to make the wild rush out to sunlight. And while I can now breathe again and move on with my life, I can't escape the feeling that some part of me is still down there in those tunnels, wandering the endless dark.